It's the feeling.
Right now, choose any new 20 Mazda and get 0% for 60 months, plus 90 days deferred payments during the Team Mazda upgrade event happening now at Team Mazda on Airline.
Hi, business owners. Phase 3. Woohoo! But do your customers know you're back? Well, that's where the Clarence Buggs Show and Pelican Broadcasting can help. Right now, we've got great rates on advertising packages to help you get the word out. Shoot me an email at bugsclarence@gmail.com. Or better yet, call me up. I'd love to talk with you. 225-485-6839. Let's get together and make Phase 3 the best it can possibly be.
They said I could find you here. Why are you fishing? Our company's got to ship out 2 full color brochures and 20 color copies. You're killing me.
It's done. Designed, printed, packaged, and shipped.
How?
You just got to know the right people. Baker Printing, the printing people.
How come you get to fish in this private lake?
Like I said, you just got to know the right people. You can know the right people too.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hello and welcome to the Thursday edition of the Clarence Buggs Show. Here's hoping that all is well with you and yours in the world this day as we get ready for yet another one. The 25th named storm of this unprecedented hurricane season. I guess it's a good news, bad news situation depending on where you live and what the anticipated impact is. The good news, if you could consider that, because again, depending on where you are geographically, that will determine that. The good news is we are yet another day closer to the end of hurricane season. The bad news is the state of Louisiana, once again, squarely in the crosshairs of another one. Marty, are we ready? Okay, fantastic. We start today's show talking about the anticipated impact of Delta. And of course, at the top of that list for many people, it is power restoration to our homes and businesses here in South Louisiana. David Latona is the Vice President of Marketing and Member Services for the awesome Power Co-op Demco and joins us to start today's show. David, my friend, we got to stop meeting like this, man.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So what sort of storm preps have the folks at Demco undergone in advance of Hurricane Delta?
Well, as usual, we have activated our emergency response plan, which that is that plan. I know your viewers are familiar because we've done this so many times, but that is that plan that designates our district offices, our personnel. It activates our supply chain for the preparation of a storm such as this. Now, even though predictions show that this storm may be jogging a little west, we're still in that mode where we're preparing for the worst.
Based on your years of experience, and I know that you will, and I hope the viewers will accept this in the spirit that it's given, if, God forbid, Delta ravages Calcasieu and Cameron parishes all over again, will power restoration be easier because there are fewer people there, or will it be tougher because you've already got debris still hanging around, folks are suffering from hurricane fatigue, the whole nine? Would it be easier or harder if Delta ends up ravaging Cameron and Calcasieu all over again?
I tell you what, I hate to even use that term easy with what they're going through. We do not like the fact that that storm has chosen them. We know that they've been through a lot with what's considered one of the worst natural disasters to hit the coast of the United States. And there will be times when maybe the streets are a little less congested because of what they've been through with Laura.
Right.
However, nothing is easy over there right now with this restoration from Laura and then to be hit with a storm. Even if it is not as strong as Laura, it's still going to be devastating.
For us lay people, David, what are some of the things that you have to consider logistically when you start staging crews for hurricane power restoration?
Well, we will look at the details of the storm. You know that some storms are wind events and others are rain events. So we do have locations on our system that can be limited by floodwaters, making certain roads impassable. So we may, if the prediction is that it's going to be a rain event or a flooding event, we may position equipment and crews on opposite sides of major waterways that we feel will flood or are highly likely to flood.
Right.
So we'll have that preparation done so that they can immediately begin to respond to those outages without having to wait for the water to go down.
You mentioned responding immediately. At what point are restoration crews allowed to start the process of getting folks back online? So
we do have safety measures in place that keep our crews limited by, one is wind speed, of course, and then anything else that may be a hazard in their movement around in our system, right? If it's a road or a bridge out, something of that nature that will limit us, but it doesn't prevent us from doing a lot of the work ahead of time, like that storm damage assessment. That can begin a lot sooner than the pole top work that is necessary after the winds get below 35 miles an hour. So we will have those assessment teams go out and begin to assess the damage. And they bring that back to our engineers and they go over that restoration plan and what's the best and most efficient way to begin that restoration so that the most members get on in the quickest and safest way.
Again, calling upon your years of experience, what are the factors that make it particularly hard to restore power to a given area? And are there any things that we as business owners, homeowners can do to make that process easier? And I guess I'm alluding to making sure there's no debris or weakened trees still standing that the wind could knock over, take out a power line, things that we as individuals can do to mitigate those factors that make it particularly hard for your guys and girls.
I'll tell you what, the first thing we think of is safety. And our workers are working a job that is meticulous and very dangerous. So the number one thing is to prevent any distractions of our crew members. And that means, we're in South Louisiana. We want to feed somebody we see out there working on those power lines, or we want to get them a cold water while they're working. But the best thing we can do is give them their space and let them do that work that they need to do. That is, they're in communication with our control center to ensure the line is de-energized in many cases for the safety of those crew members. So the best thing we can do is stay out of the way, let them do their work. And we do ask that the community certainly be eyes and ears for us. If they see a hazard, that they would call us and let us know of that.
When you talk about power lines in the aftermath of a hurricane, other than seeing a downed power line sparking, is there any surefire way to tell whether that downed power line is active or not, or should we just simply observe the rule of thumb to always assume that the line, in fact, has power in it?
Definitely always assume that it is a hot line. Stay away. Of course, power lines can conduct electricity through water. So there may be floodwaters where, might not even touch a line, but that area is hot and can injure someone if they got too close to that down power line. So you're right. Best rule of thumb, stay away if it's a hot line.
I know that the guys and girls that will be out following Delta, doing whatever Delta is going to do, they signed up for the job. They are well equipped to do their job. But I start to wonder at this point in the hurricane season, the way Louisiana has constantly been in the crosshairs, how are these guys and girls holding up from a mental standpoint, David?
I'll tell you what, I did reach out to some of our folks that are close with those co-op employees over in Southwest Louisiana just to see, how are things holding up and how are they doing with repairs and reconstruction of the entire grid. Well, the comment was they're getting to where they're numb, that they've just been on this job for so long and making that restoration effort for so long, they're becoming numb to what's going on. But they are very laser focused. Those employees that are working those outages they want to restore power to these people so bad. It's in their blood. They want to make it happen for those communities that they serve. So I would say they're doing well, but as can be expected at this time.
Additionally, you throw in COVID-19 that we're all dealing with as well. That's got to make for an even more stressful job and a more physically demanding job when you're talking about the heat, humidity, having to deal with masks and so on and so forth. How has that aspect affected their work?
It certainly has. They are doing what they do every day. However, these parameters are put in place for them to remain safe as well, not only due to the power, but like you're saying, for the COVID response as well. And what I'm hearing from our crews that are helping out in Southwest Louisiana is that it's working. They're doing their best, and the communities there are seeing that. So we're seeing, whether it's posts on Facebook or messages coming back to our offices that, hey, the DIMCO crews that are out here are doing a wonderful job. They're observing distancing and all measures that are put in place by the local co-ops that we're helping, as well as the measures we have in place here for our phased reentry.
Finally, David, got to cover the topic of portable generator use. As you well know, 8 people lost their lives in the immediate aftermath of Laura because of improper generator use. Can you stress enough how important it is to observe the safety protocols, and maybe something I had not thought about, I will readily admit, make sure that you have a carbon monoxide detector and a fire extinguisher close at hand if you're going to use portable generators?
That's a great idea, to have that fire extinguisher there in the case that something goes wrong, but also that carbon monoxide detector. That's where a lot of the fatal accidents are occurring, is those noxious fumes are getting into the home where families and folks are resting or sleeping, and that is such a deadly gas that comes in from that combustion engine. So keep those units as far away as you can. Keep them in a well-ventilated outdoor area, away from eaves and overhangs and carports and garages. Do not run those units under cover, because that exhaust is going somewhere, and it can build up in the attic and then ease down into the homes where you're sleeping. And so those eaves and overhangs with their vents into the attic can allow those fumes to get up in that attic. It's a very dangerous situation.
David,
so definitely run those units just like you would in a safe manner, like the instructions say.
David Latona is Vice President of Marketing and Member Services for DIMCO. Again, my friend, thank you for the time. And I know you'll accept this in the spirit that it's given, David. Hopefully, I will not have to talk to you again anytime soon, my friend.
I hope you're right. Thanks so much for the time.
You're quite welcome. Stay safe, David.
Yes, sir.
All right, first break of hour 1. We get her done. We will update you on evacuation information and the like when we come back for more of the Thursday edition of the Clarence Buggs Show, right here and only here on the Pelican. Stay close.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
You could be driving. Right now, during the Team Honda upgrade event, get a new 20 Accord Sport for just $309 a month with no money down, no first payment, and no security deposit. It's time to upgrade to your new Honda at Louisiana's #1 new car dealer, Team Honda on Siegen Lane.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing.
You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Welcome back to the Thursday edition of the Clarence Buggs Show. Okay, thank you, Marty. Which one? That one over there. All right. Little evacuation information for your consumption. The following parishes are currently under a mandatory evacuation. Obviously, mandatory implies you really don't have any say-so in this matter. Calcasieu, Cameron, and for those two, I don't know if I should say this or not, because in the words of Forrest Gump, it will come back to bite you squarely in the buttocks. I can't for the life of me imagine anyone in Calcasieu or Cameron wanting to hang around for another round of hurricanes after getting through Laura. But again, maybe there are some extenuating circumstances involved that I'm not aware of. So despite the fact that I said it, I'm not going to say it. Also, under mandatory evacuation orders, Beauregard Parish and Jefferson Davis parishes. The following parishes are under voluntary evacuation orders: Acadia, Assumption, Jefferson, Lafayette, Lafourche, St. Martin, St. Mary, Iberia, Terrebonne, and Vermilion Parish as well. Specifically, in Grand Isle, voluntary evacuation kicked in yesterday at 11 a.m. Mandatory evac kicked in this morning, Thursday, October 8th, at 6 a.m. And beginning today, this evening, in Grand Isle, a curfew will be in effect beginning at 8 o'clock this evening. In Lafourche Parish, they are asking that you please begin, if you've not already, securing and or moving your equipment out of the port there to determine the special needs of all vessels and personnel at facilities at the port. As I'm sure you are aware of by now, possible impacts in that particular area, Port Fourchon, Grand Isle, et cetera, et cetera. Storm tide and storm surge, wind damage as well, and roadways. Right now, as we speak, in the Port Fourchon area, roads are open to vehicular traffic. There are no anticipated closures today. Coastal flooding, as always, remains a concern, particularly on Highway 1 between Leon Theriot Road and the floodgates in Golden Meadow. Additionally, Jefferson Parish has issued a voluntary evacuation order for Lafitte, Barataria, and Crown Point. That went into effect early yesterday morning. Also, in Terrebonne, Parish President Gordon Dove and Parish Sheriff Tom Saunier are calling for a mandatory evacuation of Zone 1. Again, this is not our first rodeo. And based upon what we've gone through so far this year, I shouldn't have to ask that you let common sense prevail. And listen, y'all, I get it. With all that we've been through in 2020, if all you had to worry about was just Hurricane Delta, then I could see you being laser focused and, being able to execute your game plan with the utmost precision. But when you factor in COVID-19, kids may not be back full time in school, you're still working reduced hours, we just got slammed by Laura, now we're going through all this again. I understand full well that many people are not mentally, psychologically, if you will, where we normally would be as South Louisianians during hurricane season. And while I'm talking about that, there is the distinct possibility that many people watching right now, if they've not already experienced it, they may well in the very near future. When you take into account, again, the myriad of problems that people have gone through in 2020, it's not all that surprising that just yesterday we had on the show Tawana Harris with the Butterfly Society talking about the increase in domestic violence here in Louisiana. Quite frankly, there are a whole lot of folks that are watching right now that either personally or someone that is close to them that they know well has experienced some anxiety, some depression, and as a result of that, may well act out on that. Domestic violence, alcohol and drug abuse, depression, things of that nature are on the rise across America and certainly here in Louisiana because we've had a lot more to deal with than other parts of the country. And listen, y'all, that's not a knock. It is simply a reality. For a lot of folks in this country, all they had to deal with was COVID-19, as if that's not a lot to deal with. But losing your job, having to pick up the role of teacher for your kids, worrying about your health is one thing. But when you put in additionally hurricane, another hurricane, and God forbid, we hadn't reached the end of hurricane season yet, there is the possibility that when you least expect it, something could happen that will trigger an ugly event. This is the time, ahead of time, and hopefully you've already done this. You've taken the time to sit down with your children and talk with them to find out where they are mentally in dealing with what our world has now become. Don't wait until the signs start to manifest themselves. Try to get ahead of that. Make it a point. And again, I understand. Clarence, you got to realize, I got my job situation, I got the COVID situation, we got hurricanes, we got another hurricane, and I'll be honest with you, Clarence, it's tough reaching my kids on a regular basis. I get it. I understand. But they didn't ask to come here. You brought them here. And as a result, you have a responsibility to do everything within your power to ensure their safety and well-being. It is one of those things that what you typically hear from people is, I never saw this coming. And at the risk of sounding redundant, typically there are signs there. But if you don't know what to look for, or if you don't take the time regularly to sit down and talk with your kids about where they are mentally under all of this stress, then you will be one of those that ends up saying, wow, I didn't see this one coming. And while we're talking about the mental health aspects of all of this, listen, guys, it's 2020. It's time we get past the embarrassment, the shame, the reluctance of seeking mental health help when we need it. If you find yourself on edge all the time, if you find yourself, entertaining things that heretofore would have never crossed your mind, there are any number of resources out there that are available to us. And at one time, we were all superheroes. We were all He-Man. Clarence, I don't need to talk to nobody about my problem. What you want to do? Give me lay on the couch and spill my guts? Well, listen, those days are over, y'all. Those days are long gone. And at the end of the day, keeping your sanity, keeping those that you love around you safe and secure should be the uppermost concern. And yeah, I get it. May not be comfortable to admit to yourself, I need to seek some help. It may not be comfortable to come to the realization, my kids aren't dealing with this as well as I thought they would. It may not be comfortable to say, wow, my spouse is starting to crack under the pressure. Listen, we're all humans, y'all. All of us have our frailties. We all have our shortcomings. But fortunately, at the end of the day, there are resources out there available, and these folks would love nothing more than to give you the help that you need to get past this. So, that embarrassment thing, Clarence, I don't want nobody knowing all my business. Well, if something ugly happens, everybody's going to, quote, know your business anyway. So you may as well take advantage of the resources at your disposal so that we all get through this none the worse for wear. And who knows, you may just find out something about yourself that you didn't know in a positive way. Reach out. There's a whole lot of folks out there that would love nothing more than to help you. Tell you what, we need to get our bottom of the hour break out of the way. How is Delta going to impact travel across South Louisiana? I-10, I-12. the ferries, things of that nature. We're going to talk with the good folks at the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development in anticipation of Delta after our bottom of the hour break on the Clarence Buggs Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Jaguar Nation, we need your help in masking up Louisiana.
Masking up will slow the spread of COVID-19.
During this time, we must continue to wear a mask, wash our hands, and practice social distancing.
It's important that we continue to abide by the CDC's guidelines to stop the spread.
Jaguar Nation, we challenge you to mask up.
Go Jags!
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Today's the day to score thousands in savings on a new Toyota during the upgrade event at Team Toyota. Choose the all-new redesigned 2020 Highlander and get $1,750 customer cash. Let today be the day you score thousands in savings at Team Toyota. I-12 and O'Neill.
They said I could find you here. Why are you fishing? Our company's got to ship out 2 full color brochures and 20 color copies. You're killing me.
It's done. Designed, printed, packaged, and shipped.
How?
You just got to know the right people. Baker Printing, the printing people.
How come you get to fish in this private lake?
Like I said, you just got to know the right people. You can know the right people too.
Back to the Thursday edition of the Clarence Buggs Show. Travel, needless to say, could be dicey here in the capital region and South Louisiana in the very near future, obviously referencing the arrival of Hurricane Delta. Joining us to talk more about this in this segment is a dear friend of the show, and all Louisiana for that matter, Dr. Shawn Wilson, Secretary of the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development. Dr. Wilson, good morning, and how are you, my friend?
I am well, Clarence, and good morning to you and your listeners, and I'm actually calling you from the Unified Command Group, where we are currently meeting with the governor talking about statewide preparations for Delta.
Let's start with I-10, that major artery running the length and breadth of this awesome republic of ours. Any projects or closures you anticipate being affected by Hurricane Delta, Dr. Wilson?
Well, we expect a lot to be affected by Hurricane Delta, mostly projects that are under construction. If you're traveling anywhere from southwest Louisiana through Lafayette, even through Baton Rouge on I-10 and into New Orleans, we've got major construction projects, hundreds of millions of dollars of construction projects that are underway. All of those projects have been shut down in advance notice of weather conditions, depending on where they sit. And so I drove through major construction zones today, and there wasn't a piece of equipment moving or a person out there because we prepare to keep our people safe.
Right.
So we have lanes that are there. We shouldn't have anything less than 2 lanes everywhere or 3 lanes where we don't have construction, and it's capable of handling 3 lanes of traffic all across the state of Louisiana, where we have over 100,000 cars a day here in Baton Rouge alone. We do not expect any lane closures, particularly during disasters and hurricanes. And the best way to minimize that for certain is to prepare early if you're going to evacuate and take full advantage of the maps and all of those other resources that we provide.
Are we also looking pretty much at the same outlook as far as I-12 is concerned?
You are correct. We've got a few construction zones on I-12 in St. Tammany, another major project. We officially broke ground on Monday of this week. In that area as well, while the storm will not necessarily have the same effect based on its route, you may see some people working on I-12, but it should not produce any additional lane restrictions that you would have had prior to landfall with Delta. So everything is pretty much in the medians there, and we have made the lanes a little smaller, but you should be able to travel through there very safely, and provided you put your phone down and wear your seatbelt on, you should be okay.
I know that we have been grappling with this problem for a while, and hopefully one day we will finally come to terms with another bridge across the Mississippi River in the capital region. Until that happens, we still have folks that rely regularly and fairly heavily on the use of ferries to cross the Big Muddy. What about ferry closures? Any of those in the forecast?
Yes, very good point. For those who, as you say, get into those congested points and look for alternate modes of transportation. But when you deal in the maritime industry, when you start to get winds and waves, we are more precautious than what you might think. So when bridges, for example, movable bridges, operate in weather conditions of more than 39 miles per hour, we lock them down in their locked position. However, on maritime, when you have boats and you put other people on there, we don't take those types of risks, and those ferries have already begun closing. So in Cameron Parish, we announced earlier today, as well as the second Plaquemine ferry, we've announced to make sure that we can put them somewhere safely. You may remember in Laura, we had an entire casino break loose in the event and lay itself up against the Lake Charles Bridge on the Calcasieu River. So that's one of the reasons why we closed the ferries early and encourage folks not to do it. We have to have warm bodies on there, and safety is our job number one, our first priority, and we would never put our deckhands and maritime employees in harm's way intentionally. And so, yes, those are already closed, and we will notice when we go back and open them to the public, and we've also eliminated tolls. So while we are restricting some access, we're making other access easier. So on the LA1 bridge at Bouchon, if you've got a boat or a camp, you want to go down there and tighten up the hatches a little bit, you can do so freely and not have to worry about tolls or violations of those tolls to do so.
For the next question, I know that there are some viewers right now that would probably say, well, I knew the guy was going to say this because he works for a state agency and they never met a project they didn't like. But is it times like what we're going through now, and actually for all of hurricane season this year, understanding the huge backlog that you inherited for road repair and building projects. Whenever it is that we decide to come to grips with our budget situation, when you start talking about mandatory evacuations, you start talking about alternate routes, it's times like these where that investment in ourselves and our infrastructure really starts to pay dividends, because we can move a large number of people more readily and in a safe manner, correct?
You're absolutely correct. People will find the paths of least resistance. You can imagine an ant pile and all the tunnels that those worker ants have in there. They can get around that ant pile in very efficient ways because they built a system to allow them to do that. Because we've struggled financially here in the state to make the types of investments we've had and to maintain the roads we have, we find ourselves not being able to give our listeners or our users and travelers of our system
multiple paths of least resistance and give them a sustainable network. Case in point, today I closed a bridge in Iberia Parish. For folks in that region that want to use that bridge to get out of harm's way, they're going to have a longer detour. They're going to perhaps travel in places they haven't had to travel before, and they'll have to leave earlier than they would normally leave in advance of one of these arriving storms. And so that's just one case of us doing that. And clearly that one bridge isn't going to shut down the entire state, but it is going to affect someone in that community that relied on that mobility, relied on that system. And I've learned to say, we are going to give you what you pay for. We're going to use every resource we have to the best we can. And if it's not enough, do something about it. And if it is enough, let's accept where we are and continue to use the system we have. And that's what we're going to do in government, is do the best we can with what we have.
Let's talk a little bit, Dr. Wilson, about the 511 Traveler Information Service. How does that work? How do we access it? And what services are offered through that service?
Very good question. So everyone is familiar with Waze and other travel apps. They actually mine the data from states using their 511 LA system or their 511 TX system in Texas. And so that's going to be the best place to go to get data, not just in a disaster, but any time of the year in terms of construction projects or road closures, where you can actually look and map out what is impacting your commute or your travel plans that specific day. With regards to disaster, we then turn around and have a special platform on 511la.org where you can see where there's standing water or that a road is closed for some reason in relation to the disaster. In ice storms, you'll see ice indications on there. Also, with debris, following an event like this, and we've done it for the first time, you can actually scroll in and see when we have picked up in your neighborhood, if you live on a state route, what we expect to pick up. And you will track that we've collected over 1 million cubic yards of debris, and we haven't even finished our first pass in southwest Louisiana and in central Louisiana. And so it's a plethora of information, and you can use it on your phone, you can use it on a desktop, and I encourage people not to use it when they're driving. You do that before you get behind the wheel and before you depart. So it's a great tool with lots of information for the public.
With all the storms that we've had to deal with this hurricane season, Dr. Wilson, do any projects come to mind that have suffered elongated or serious setbacks because of all the, quote, downtime involved?
Yeah. So we're seeing anywhere from 30 to 35% more weather days and weather-related delays on our projects, given the environmental conditions and the climate that we have right now. And so every project that we have all across the state, if we're still dealing with dirt and earthwork, it's going to be a delay, because right now, all along I-10, in those active construction zones where we're widening and building capacity so that we can reduce congestion, you might have a 12 to 14-foot ditch that's just dirt on the bottom. That's going to hold water because it wasn't meant to drain it and it wasn't meant to hold it. So it's got to wait there until that dirt can be worked and it gets moved, and that adds delays. That's the nature of these types of projects. And so anything where we haven't actually put down soft cement or a hard surface, it's going to have an extended delay. And so every project, no matter how big or small, if they're still in that stage of development, it's going to have a delay on us. Also with wind, because we have lots of equipment. So every crane out there has to be tightened down or moved or relocated depending on where it is. That, too, is another delay and an additional cost to mobilize on these projects.
Finally, Dr. Wilson, it has been a trying year for individuals across the entire spectrum, obviously referencing COVID-19, the pandemic here in Louisiana, the myriad of hurricanes and storms we've had to entertain. From a mental standpoint, how are the good folks at the Department of Transportation and Development holding up in dealing with all of this and all that has now been added additionally to their collective plates?
You know, we're pretty resilient people, and I really do appreciate you asking about the well-being of the people, because we sometimes forget that we are humans, too. When I think about Laura, I've got 57 families who lost their homes. that have nothing, that we have found a way to try and provide some accommodation for them to continue working with us, because we need it, they need the revenue, and it just keeps them mentally and physically and spiritually whole. So most of our employees are doing very, very well. We still have employees working home in regards to the pandemic, so that's not going anywhere anytime soon. And I've actually been on construction zones. Transportation has been deemed essential, and I have folks out there working in 90-degree weather, wearing a mask, working on creosote wood bridges, under bridges, cutting grass, laying asphalt. It's a pretty tough job, but they do it because they love it. We don't pay them enough for what they do, but they also see the value at the end of the day of what we've created. And so I can't tell you how many times I've been so proud of my employees and the people that we have here in the state of Louisiana, and they're hanging in there, and I know they appreciate you asking about them.
Dr. Sean Wilson, Secretary of our very own Department of Transportation and Development. So great to hear your voice, my friend, and do us all a big favor and stay safe along with the employees at DOTD, sir.
All right. Thank you, Clarence. I appreciate it.
You're quite welcome, sir. Final break of today's show. We will bang this puppy out, come back, put that big pretty bow on it, and wrap up the Thursday edition of the Clarence Buggs Show right here and only here on the Pelican. Stay close.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Hi, business owners. Phase 3. Woohoo! But do your customers know you're back? Well, that's where the Clarence Buggs Show and Pelican Broadcasting can help. Right now, we've got great rates on advertising packages to help you get the word out. Shoot me an email at bugsclarence@gmail.com. Or better yet, call me up. I'd love to talk with you. 225-485-6839. Let's get together and make Phase 3 the best it can possibly be.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private Healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready, and health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Welcome back for the final segment of the Thursday edition of the Clarence Buggs Show. I did not want to let the opportunity pass in talking with Dr. Sean Wilson of DOTD to talk about whenever it is that we get serious about overcoming the problem of investing in ourselves. I understand that we have been subjected to, over the years, so many times of politicians telling us, okay, well, we're gonna put this tax before the people, and if it passes, we're gonna take the money and we're gonna do this with it. And then we find out a little later on down the road that they didn't use the money for what they said they would, or did not use it the way they said they would. I get it. I'm a taxpayer. I'm a Louisianian. I'm disheartened by it all. But I'll never forget, I want to say that it was Hurricane Katrina. At that time, I was doing play-by-play for radio for the Southern University Football Radio Network, and we had a game out of town. It was in Houston. And we're coming back after the game at night. And well before crossing the Louisiana-Texas state line, all the way back into Baton Rouge, I-10 was literally a parking lot. It was bumper to bumper. And I often chuckle to myself because I had to try to entertain in my mind, what are all these people that are heading west? What are they probably saying about us going east, going toward the storm? I mean, we literally had the entire interstate in our direction, eastbound, from outside the Texas-Louisiana state line all the way to Baton Rouge. May have seen 6 cars. And I had to imagine those folks were saying, where are these idiots going? Don't they know this big storm is coming? Don't they see everybody going this way? Who are these idiots going that way? Well, obviously, at that point doing storm coverage on radio, I had to get back. I had no choice, because when you guys and girls go to that radio and punch that button, you expect to have calm, knowledgeable people there to disseminate the information that you need. So I really had no choice. But here's the point. Looking at that unending line of cars, the slow pace with which it moved, and thinking about Baton Rouge in general and the preponderance of petrochemical industries that reside here, at some point, we will find ourselves in a situation where we need to move a whole lot of people via cars and trucks in an expeditious manner. And there's really no other way to say it. We don't have the infrastructure to do it. And again, I understand, Clarence, I ain't for paying no more taxes to, because them politicians, they always screw us over. They take the money and say they're going to do this and they do something else. I understand that. But at the end of the day, there's got to be, number one, a way to do it because other states do it. And number two, I will never acquiesce to or become comfortable with the idea that the safety of the lives of my fellow Louisianians and loved ones is compromised in an instance where we need to move a whole lot of people in a very short amount of time out of the capital region. And quite frankly, while it's easy to point the finger of blame at the politicians, let's also be honest here, guys, girls. We have not put our foot down as far as voters and citizens are concerned and demanded better. We moan, we gripe, we complain, but very seldom, if ever, do we grab by the scruff of the neck, not physically, y'all, speaking metaphorically, very seldom, if ever, do we grab these guys and girls at the Capitol by the scruff of the neck and say, if you don't fix this problem, we're going to boot your sorry behind out of here at the earliest possible convenience. There is no excuse for a city the size of Baton Rouge, the capital region, to be limited to pretty much one way out of here. Especially when you take into account all the petrochemical industries, all the rail traffic that moves dangerous chemicals, and residing in the midst of Hurricane Alley, there is no excuse for this. I personally will be so very happy when we arrive at the point where we believe in ourselves enough to invest in ourselves. And again, it can be done. Other states have done it. Other cities have and are doing it. Why should we be any different? Just saying. President Trump has already approved the emergency disaster declaration ahead of Hurricane Delta. Good news in that regard. So we already, and speaking of already, it's not like we hadn't gone through this hurricane season already. The wheels have been greased, for lack of a better phrase, and we will have at our disposal the federal resources that we need to overcome whatever damage Hurricane Delta brings to the Bayou State. It will be yet another opportunity for us to demonstrate to the rest of the state of Louisiana, the nation, and the world what it is that makes Louisiana such a very special place to live. I know that we will rise to the occasion. We will help our fellow Louisianians. We will do what is right. And when all is said and done, we'll get past this. The sun will continue, hopefully, to rise in the east, set in the west. We'll still have the greatest food on the planet, the best music you ever heard, and the most awesome people you will find anywhere on planet Earth. Of that, I have absolutely no doubt. I'm not a betting man, but you can take that one to the bank. Time's up, and I have got to go. But once again, I give it to you. You're right. America, we are in no ways perfect. But doggone it, for this boy's money, it's the best there is. And God knows there is no place else on his green earth that I'd rather be. Speaking of the good Lord, you realize he loves you, right? And I do too. Either way, there ain't a doggone thing you could do about either one. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you soon. God bless.